My name is Alfredo Diamond. Everyone calls me Al. I'm a lifelong resident of Richmond, been here my entire life. Grew up right here on the north side across the train tracks, right here from our office. You know, I love our community. I love being a part of it. Things weren't always the easiest, but I took those opportunities and tried to learn from every opportunity I'm given. Growing up, I got to experience my grandparents. They had a wonderful relationship. 50 plus years of marriage. I got to hang out with my grandfather a lot. Very old-fashioned family. I knew that for every action there's possible consequences. So just thinking things through on that side of the family, definitely. My other side of the family, my father's side, I got to see those grandparents again, 50 plus years of marriage, but also saw a different side. They worked a lot. I never really saw them, that side of the family, do the work. So my upbringing was not necessarily anything horrible or bad, but we did experience some things, and I got to see some great things, and that kind of helps me balance out my life now. My father, he set a great example, but set some bad examples. He was into drugs and alcoholic, things like that, but he also set an example that he worked every day. He had award on top of awards for perfect attendance at his manufacturing job. So those early on, that mindset that you work hard no matter what and take care of your family was instilled in me. Going through school, I've seen it all. I've had friends that did things that I thought, man, if I did that, there's going to be trouble when I get home. I've had friends, unfortunately, play with guns, things like that, lost their lives. I've had friends, experiment with drugs, and to this day, they're probably still, stuck on drugs and things like that, in and out of jail. It's unfortunate, and I'm glad, I got out of that phase where I wanted to follow people, and I realized earlier on, like, man, I do not want to be in jail. I do not want to get, die, lose my life or anything like that. And one of the hugest things I learned early on was, how were these things that I might have got into, how would it affect me down the road in my later on in life? I got partners now, that I grew up with that are just now getting out of jail and start entry-level jobs. I'm like, man, that's great. That's great that you're making those steps to be positive and do some things. But I just pray and I wonder where would they have been if they made some different choices, 20 years ago. If I can help anybody, think about the decision and think it through a little bit more versus go down the wrong path, when I clearly see that decision might affect them later on in life, I definitely want to be a part of helping somebody like that. Well, real estate agent is basically, we solicit homes for sale. We've got a client that wants to sell a house, and we put their house up for sale. We market, advertise to sell that home. On the other side of the coin, we also help people buy homes. So walking through that experience step by step. So want to make sure that they get what they need and get a great deal and something they can afford and stay in, so they can take those next steps in their lives. It's interesting. I've been in sales for a while now, over 15 years, and I tried to do real estate, probably 9 years ago, and I actually failed. I'm not ashamed to say it. I had a lot going on. I was in school. I was wrapping up my master's degree, and I took an accelerated course in Indy. I was driving back and forth in between classes. It was crazy, and it just didn't work out. There's a lot more involved in the content than what I had thought. I thought I can get in there and, not study as much as I needed to and get through it, and then all of a sudden I get this glamorous life trying to be a real estate agent. It didn't work out that way. Fast forward later on in life, after about 7 years, I had a great opportunity for a telecommunications company where I was working my way up the ladder, and a Fortune 50 company, and really enjoyed that. I thought I would retire from that company. Well, things changed, our business changed, and as things evolve, we got a call. I had to drive to Indianapolis one day, and basically everyone in that office that day got terminated. And there was several offices across the country. Everyone in my department got terminated that day. So I went from thinking I got this wonderful job and this wonderful company where I'm going to retire from someday. It was all taken away from me. So, I sat around and I thought about, okay, which competitor can I go work at and take my skills and start all over? And I got to think about it, okay, I'm gonna have to drive from Richmond to Indy every day to work for a competitor, and a lot of the people that I would be employing or interviewing were people that didn't quite work out for me in my last position. So I had this career coach, and he just told me, he's like, Al, he's like, you speak well, you communicate clearly, you've got a sales background. He said, man, why don't you go back into sales? I know you don't want to do entry level, but why not? It's like, you're going to make more money. So that kind of stuck with me, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I've got all this money tied up in real estate from years ago where it failed. I'm in a better position now to take this chance. And being burnt that time, it's like, okay, I want to work for myself. If I'm going to fail, it's going to be a result of my efforts. But my mentality every day is I've got to make this work. There is no room for failure. Every day is a learning experience. What are you going to do to make something happen every day? That's my attitude every day. So getting into real estate, it was an easy decision. I've got a sales background. I love solving problems. I love helping people, and I love being rewarded with commission. And that's another conversation. Commission, 100% commission is really scary, but you can do it if you have the right discipline and the right work ethic. You can make it happen. Yeah, well, I work in an industry where you're not getting paid every week or every 2 weeks. It's a matter of, it may be 3 months before you get that check to close. So you can't just sit around and wait on one. You got to figure out what you're going to do to get some other opportunities. Day in and day out, the pressure's on, and I love that pressure. I love the idea that, man, I've got to talk and go out and meet some great people and try to figure out how I can help them so I can take care of my family. I love that pressure. So every day, from start to finish. Now I'm up at 5:30. I'm doing some personal things to better myself. I'm educating myself, YouTube videos, or reading a book, or maybe even exercising a little bit. But once that's up, my personal time is over. Come 7:30, I'm logged in. I'm taking calls by 8:30. I've got to do something to set myself up to meet my goals. So that's a major thing right there. Being self-employed and trying to make something happen and setting goals. Well, that's a great question. It's not like you see on TV or Facebook. You just look up and your friends or family's on there with a sold sign. There's a lot that goes into it. Again, that self-discipline. You have to be self-starter, and something's got to motivate you. You've got to have a why. Like my why, and I'll share it with you. It's my daughters. Like my upbringing. I watched both sides of my family. All we knew was you go to school, you work hard to get ahead, and if you don't, there's consequences. And so for me, I want to put my daughters with a different mindset. I want to instill in them like, hey, we got to figure out how you can work for yourself. What can we do? You can take these learning opportunities to where you can transfer that into an opportunity for you to make something for yourself. So for me, my why is doing everything I can, sacrificing now, so that my daughters can change the narrative in my family. There's consequences for your actions, and I feel like if you understand that, it's okay to make bad decisions, but what did you learn from it? If you keep making those bad decisions, there's probably going to be some consequences for that. If you have no fear of consequence, or no one there that's helping reinforce those consequences for you, you've got to figure out a way to hold yourself accountable. Once you learn that, and you can separate yourself from the influences that may help you engage in bad decisions, and you learn to focus on being a leader, then I think that's going to be a game changer for you. Just understanding that there are consequences for your decisions. If you see 5 or 6 people that are doing something great you're really good at, and you aspire to be like them, those are the people you probably are to be building relationships with. no matter how old you are. If you want to aspire to be something else or be better, then you hang around people that are going to help you get there and build a relationship with those people. That's something that I learned as well over the years. We all have different backgrounds, and we're all dealing with our own circumstances, okay? And I feel like you are shaped by your environment, in my opinion. But what I don't want people to do is, just because you have a disadvantage or you come from a different background than someone else that you're trying to be like, don't let that be an excuse for you. You know, there's been plenty of times in my life where I've had to outwork somebody or work harder to get ahead or get back on track after falling and failing. You know, just understanding that you don't make excuses because of what you've gone through. What did you learn from those experiences? It's only going to make you stronger once you realize that, and you can get through anything if you can understand that.